Hello everyone, let us now start with the second part of our first chapter of science, that is chemical reactions and equations. In the previous session, we have discussed about chemical reactions, chemical equations and balancing of chemical equations. Now today we will discuss about different types of chemical equations. So as you can see here, we have total 5 types of chemical equations. Let us study about them one by one. First is the combination reaction. As the name suggests, combination means when two or more substances combine with each other to give a single product. So it is clear that in these types of reactions, we will have two or more than two reactants and only a single product. For an example, the first reaction is reaction of carbon with oxygen to give carbon dioxide. It is a normal case of burning when carbon burns in air to give carbon dioxide. Here we see that there are two reactants and a single product. In simple language, we say that carbon combines with oxygen to form carbon dioxide. Hence the word combine in the statement, and this is a combination reaction. As another example, we have this equation, reaction of calcium oxide with water. Calcium oxide reacts with water to form calcium hydroxide. Remember, calcium oxide is called quicklime or limestone. In solid state, it is called limestone. It reacts with water to form slaked lime, calcium hydroxide or lime water. All these are names of this compound only. And heat is evolved. Here again, two reactants combine to form a single product. So this is the basic theory behind combination reactions. Now coming to the next topic, the decomposition reaction. Decomposition means breakdown. It means that in these types of reactions, a single compound breaks down into several products. So we usually have a single reactant which breaks down after the reaction into two or more than two compounds or elements. Now, during decomposition, some energy is required. For example, whenever you break something, you need to apply some force or some energy. In a similar way, when we have to break down a compound into different compounds, we need some energy. There are three primary sources of energy. First is heat or sunlight or electricity. By these three means, we can supply energy in the system to break down a compound or decompose a compound into multiple products. Let us consider the example of heat. When calcium carbonate is heated, it breaks down into calcium oxide and carbon dioxide. Here heat is used to break down calcium carbonate into two different products. So this is a decomposition reaction with the utilization of heat. Second is sunlight. Sunlight, as we know, is the ultimate source of energy. Now, this is silver chloride, AgCl. Ag is the symbol for silver. Silver chloride, when kept in sunlight, is converted into silver. This is a common phenomenon. Whenever we take silver chloride in a vessel and keep it in sunlight, we see that it turns blackish. This is because of this reaction. When silver chloride is kept in sunlight, it converts into silver, which is a blackish color compound, and chlorine gases evolve. So here we see that with utilization of sunlight, AgCl breaks down into silver and chlorine. Again, a decomposition reaction with the help of sunlight. The final and the most popular example is hydrolysis of water. Hydrolysis means hydro means water and lysis means breakdown. So it simply means breakdown of water. Breakdown of water or hydrolysis of water occurs in the presence of electricity. When we take water and pass electricity through it, the water breaks down into hydrogen gas and oxygen gas. Here you can see that the liquid state of water is converted into gaseous state in both hydrogen and oxygen. So this is also a typical example of change in state during chemical reactions. So we see that with utilization of electrical energy, H2 breaks down into H2 and O2, again a decomposition reaction with the help of electricity. So this is the basic theory behind decomposition reactions. Now let's come to the next heading, the displacement reaction. Before moving on to this heading, I will tell you that the elements we have in chemistry are arranged in a series. This is a series in which elements are arranged in the order of their increasing or decreasing reactivity. Means one element is more reactive than the other and can be less reactive than some other element. On the basis of this, displacement reactions have a peculiar definition, and the definition states that during a displacement reaction, a more reactive metal displaces a less reactive metal from its salt solution. Now let us elaborate on this definition using an example. This is an example where iron reacts with copper sulfate to form iron sulfate and copper. Now, according to the reactivity series in chemistry, iron is more reactive than copper. As you can see, there are two elements in this reaction, iron and copper. And iron is more reactive than copper. We have to take the more reactive metal in solid form or in isolated form for displacement reaction to occur. Here, and the less reactive element should be present in the aqueous form, the salt solution. Copper sulfate is a salt and its solution in water becomes its salt solution in water. So, iron being more reactive displaces the less reactive copper from its salt solution and takes its place in the product. So we see that copper sulfate changes to iron sulfate, where iron takes in the place of copper and becomes iron sulfate, and copper is displaced and it is separated as copper. So in this way we say the definition that displacement reaction is a reaction in which a more reactive metal displaces a less reactive metal from its salt solution. So it is clear that iron here displaces copper to form iron sulfate and copper. Iron in the solid state, copper in aqueous state is blue in color, while iron sulfate is green in color. This change in color of the solution shows that the reaction has taken place. Now, a more elaborated form of displacement reaction is the double displacement reaction. Here we see that only one element is exchanged in the reaction, that is exchange of iron and copper. But in double displacement reaction we say that ions of both the compounds are exchanged. For example, in this reaction, this is sodium sulfate reacting with barium chloride to form barium sulfate and sodium chloride. Now there are ions involved. First is the sodium ion and the sulfate ion. The next is the barium ion and the chloride ion. So we see that sodium ion here is with sulfate ion and barium ion is with chloride ion. But now during the reaction, the ions of both the compounds will be exchanged. Now sodium ion will be with chloride ion. Here sodium ion gets with chloride ion and the barium ion gets with the sulfate ion. So we see that how ions are exchanged in double displacement reactions. So we say that in a double displacement reaction, ions of both the elements are exchanged. And we say that a double displacement reaction has taken place. Now, the final category of the reaction is redox reactions. It is a little bit complex but very interesting. Redox, it is made up of two terms, red and ox. Red stands for reduction and ox stands for oxidation. So it is basically a reaction in which oxidation and reduction takes place simultaneously. Now before moving forward, we have to understand what is oxidation and what is reduction. In simple terms, whenever oxygen is added to a compound, it is said to have been oxidized. Similarly, if oxygen is removed from a compound, it is said to have been reduced. In the terms of hydrogen, we say whenever hydrogen is added to a compound, it is said to be reduced. And whenever hydrogen is removed from a compound, it is said to be oxidized. So you see that oxygen and hydrogen are completely opposite to each other in case of oxidation and reduction. Oxygen addition is oxidation, while hydrogen removal is oxidation. So redox reactions are the reactions in which oxidation as well as reduction takes place simultaneously. Let us consider an example where copper oxide reacts with hydrogen to form copper and water. Now observe clearly. This compound, copper oxide, contains oxygen, and this changes to copper in the products. That means oxygen is removed. And since oxygen is removed, this part of the reaction is the reduction part of the equation. Now, see here, this is hydrogen and it changes to H2O in the products. So we see that oxygen is added in this part, and hence this part indicates the oxidation. So in a single reaction, one compound undergoes reduction and one compound undergoes oxidation. So this type of reaction is called an oxidation reduction reaction, or in short, redox reaction. Now there is one more point in this. We say that copper oxide is reduced to copper and hydrogen is oxidized into water. However, there are two more terms, that is oxidizing agent and reducing agent. Here, copper oxide is being reduced, but hydrogen is helping copper oxide in getting reduced. So, the compound which is reduced in a reaction acts as an oxidizing agent because it helps in hydrogen to get oxidized, and this helps copper oxide in getting reduced. So, the substance which is being reduced is called oxidizing agent, and the substance which itself is being oxidized is called the reducing agent. So this is how all this theory goes for redox reactions. Now there is one more thing, corrosion. In daily life we see that iron articles, various iron articles, we see that when they are exposed to water and moisture and air, it acquires a brownish coating on it. This brownish coating is of iron oxide, and this phenomenon is due to corrosion. Iron forms a brown coat. Similarly, copper articles also get corroded and acquire a greenish color coat. Similarly, silver articles acquire a black colored coat. So all these colored compounds are actually oxides of these elements, and it results in corrosion of metals and degradation of the quality of the articles. Similarly, there is rancidity. Rancidity is again related to oxidation. When various food articles which contain oils and fats are exposed to air, they react with the oxygen present in the atmosphere and undergoes oxidation. And due to oxidation, they get bad smell and they get decomposed and they get unfit for consumption. This process of oxidation of fats and oils in food articles is called rancidity. Now there can be methods to prevent rancidity. For example, if we store the food items in airtight containers, then there will be no oxygen for reaction and rancidity will not take place. Similarly, there is a gas called nitrogen gas. Nitrogen gas is a very inert gas, that is, it does not react very easily with the compounds. Usually the packed food we eat, that is chips packets and all, they all are fluffed with nitrogen gas, and nitrogen gas also prevents rancidity. So this is all for this topic of chemical reactions and equations. Hope you understand the topic. For more details you can log on to www.dnaeducation.com. Thank you.